Now to Mars, where NASA's rover is trying to uncover traces of ancient life on the red planet as Perseverance embarks on the most important part of its mission. It's arrived at an ancient river delta that's been identified by scientists as one of the most likely locations for signs of past life. Well, as our science editor Rebecca Morell now explains.
The rover's exploring an area called the Jezero Crater. Billions of years ago, it was a huge lake. You can clearly see a river running into it. And this gives you an idea of what it once would have looked like. If we zoom in, this coloured area shows where the river met the lake, depositing sediment to create a delta. The rover landed here in the floor of the crater. It spent more than a year travelling the 7 miles, that's about 11 kilometres, to get to the base of the delta. Now it has a 40-metre climb to reach the top. So it's deployed the Mini Mars helicopter to scout the best path ahead.
Perseverance is the most advanced rover to be deployed on Mars. And here you can see a 3D animation of the machine at work. It will survey the delta to select rocks which have the most promising signs of life. Onboard drills will collect samples so that scientists can analyse what's inside. And this NASA scientist has more on the river delta.
I have been staring at this delta for years now, mostly in orbiter images, and now we're finally right in front of it, seeing it through the eyes of the rover. We know there was once liquid water on the surface of Mars. We know there are organics on the surface of Mars. And so all signs point to the surface of Mars 3.5 to 4 billion years ago being a habitable planet.
Well, another member of NASA's team shares their hopes for what this mission could achieve.
Imagine if we found evidence that there was some sort of microscopic life there. That's huge. It's, mind-blowing in a way. And so I think the opportunity to look for that and bring it back to Earth and then see what we see is going to rewrite history books regardless of the answer.
So let's find out whether it will rewrite history books regardless of the answer. Let's talk to Dr. Jennifer Millard, an astronomer joining us from Barry in South Wales. So just how convinced are you that once we eventually get these samples back, will we be able to prove that there was indeed life on Mars?
It's an excellent question, and I think if any mission is going to do it, it will be the Perseverance rover, because we can get some preliminary analysis on board using the tools that are situated on the rover. But it's really towards the end of the decade, the start of the next decade, when we can get those samples back to our much more extensive laboratories on Earth, and we can do much more in-depth analysis. That'll be the time, that'll be the make or break point, and I'm very excited for that.
We're capturing everybody's excitement when it comes to this. Let's focus in on just what's already been achieved, because it's quite remarkable given that this rover has landed on Mars. It's then spent a year travelling and it's now about to undertake this climb. Just talk us through what Perseverance is going through.
So far, while it's been on the surface, it's done lots of firsts. It's done lots of technology demonstrations as well. So it's been testing out a new way of navigating on the surface of Mars, which is more automated. So if it comes across an obstacle, it can kind of handle it itself instead of waiting for relays from Earth. It's also deployed Ingenuity, which is the first time that we've had powered flight on another world. We've proven that we can fly on Mars. And Ingenuity has proven to be so useful for actually mapping out Perseverance's path. It's also done MOXIE, which is a technology demonstration for when we send people to Mars eventually, trying to extract oxygen from the carbon dioxide atmosphere, because we can't take all the oxygen we need with us. We need it for them to breathe, and then we also need it to burn fuel on our rockets. And then of course it's also been testing its drilling, and this is where it'll be drilling into the rocks, caching those samples for later return. So it's already done a few samples, but the really important ones are to come after this climb up to these sedimentary rocks, which we're very interested in.
So all of these incredible firsts, despite the conditions, what are the conditions on Mars are like right now, and how does that then impact what Perseverance and Ingenuity, the little helicopter, are doing?
Yeah, so conditions on Mars are quite difficult sometimes for rovers. I mean, in particular, it can be quite sandy, quite gravelly on the surface of Mars, and that can cause trouble with the wheels. Sometimes they can get cracks in them because they're made of metal rather than rubber wheels, or sometimes they can collect lots of material. But one of the biggest problems on Mars are these enormous dust storms which happen seasonally, and they can engulf the entire planet. And it's often, problematic for solar panels, and especially, with Ingenuity, we can't fly it in the middle of a dust storm. So yeah, there's all sorts of problematic troubles when it comes to operate on the surface of Mars, but we seem to generally overcome them. We can always find a solution one way or another.
It's just remarkable when you sort of think about what has been achieved thus far. When it comes to the images that we've been seeing, what do you make of them?
Oh, they've been absolutely extraordinary. I mean, Perseverance has been showing us Mars in ultra high definition, really. We've been really getting some beautiful Technicolor images. When you think of Mars, you don't necessarily think of all different colors. You think of red, but there's been all sorts of nuances going on in the images from Perseverance. But I think personally for me, my favorite ones are when we've had the footage from Ingenuity, because it is just something to see, the footage where it's lifting off from the surface. It's then traveling across. You can see all the different terrain, the rocks and all the cracks and the sand dunes. And then it comes down in a little cloud of dust that is kicked up. So yeah, it's just been remarkable. It's given us a total different perspective on Mars. You really kind of feel like it's a planet that we're inhabiting with robots, which has been said for a long time. But I think Perseverance is really giving us that feel for the first time.
Dr. Jennifer Millard, we really sense your excitement about it, and all of the NASA enthusiasts as well who are involved in this, and the scientists as well. It's absolutely remarkable, and to hear you describe it as well, it really brings it to life. Dr. Jennifer Millard, thank you so much for speaking to us. Lots more on Perseverance and also Ingenuity on our website. Lots more details and the images that are coming from Perseverance as well, those remarkable images from Mars. Stay with us here on BBC News. Thanks for watching Outside Source.